Mikey was arguing with me, and we were talking about Karl-Anthony Towns. And Karl-Anthony Towns has 3 years left on his deal. He 2 years ago got a big contract from the Timberwolves, Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau is no longer there. Jimmy Butler is no longer there. Andrew Wiggins is no longer there. Everything is in a shambles right now. They brought in D'Angelo Russell in a trade, trading Andrew Wiggins. They were trying to flip D'Angelo Russell after that trade to either Miami or the Wizards or wherever he was headed. So my argument to Mikey C on the phone is Karl-Anthony Towns has 3 years left on his deal. He's one of the best, most talented big men in the NBA right now. He averaged 26 points a game to about 9 or 10 rebounds a game. He averaged double-double a game. He's not Anthony Davis. He's not the Greek freak. He's a little bit under them, just a little bit. And I said to him that, and I didn't say that he was going to the Knicks. And I know when I listen to Jeff that calls the show, when I listen to Snug, or I listen to Mikey, or I listen to everybody thinks that I think that these guys are going to my team. I never said with Mikey C on the phone that Karl-Anthony Towns is a shoo-in to the New York Knicks. I never said that.
You could predict everyone you want to the Knicks. That doesn't mean the Knicks will be smart enough to do it.
I never said that. My argument with Mikey C was, why not the Knicks? The Knicks right now, this coming season, at the end of the season, will have at least, the 3 or 4 contracts that they signed last year, they can opt out of those contracts this year. Okay? You look at the New York Knicks as a whole right now, they might have 3 players they can build their team around. Julius Randle, RJ Barrett, and Robinson. Those are the 3 guys that they have right now. Knox is taking a step back. Ntilikina has looked better this year.
He was better in the second half of last year and then into this year too, so that's a good sign.
Dennis Smith Jr. looks like a bust since they made the trade with Dallas, bringing him in from KP, and they brought the 2 first-round draft picks. Well, we'll see what the Knicks do with those 2 first-round draft picks. I told Mikey C on the phone that why not the Knicks? If Karl-Anthony Towns is available this offseason, which I absolutely believe he is, and Karl-Anthony Towns came out this past season and said he wants out of Minnesota.
He wanted to demand a trade to the Suns and go play with Devin Booker at one point, and Booker was on board with that, but the Suns didn't want to do it and give up all the draft capital that Minnesota wanted at the time.
Karl-Anthony Towns will be available this offseason. The question with this trade, if it does happen, is who? Karl-Anthony Towns said that the Knicks, the New York Knicks, are one of the 3 teams he'd be interested in going to. And I say, everybody's going to say, well, why does he want to be a Knick? Well, one, Leon Rose, his old agent. His old agent is now running the New York Knicks. He's the president of the New York Knicks organization. He's running the Knicks. And Devin Booker, who will be a free agent after next season.
No, he just signed a deal last year with the Suns.
To what? I thought
5
it was,
years.
Was it? I don't think it was last year.
Yeah, it was.
Well, look it up before you say it was. Look it up and look up his contract, because if you're wrong, I'm gonna stick you with my fist, because you're Devin Booker signs a $158 million contract.
Yep, which started this season. So he's not a free agent until 2024.
So that's 3 years. 3 years from
4 years.
4 years from today. Okay, so Devin Booker, that's out of the question. Devin Booker was out. I didn't know that he was out. But nevertheless, Karl-Anthony Towns has 3 years left on his contract. I know he has 3 years left on his contract. You don't have to take that away. He wants out of Minnesota. And the Knicks right now have the money, have the draft stock, and have some good young players that they can move. And I'm not talking about RJ Barrett. Kevin Knox is 20 years old. We don't know what Kevin Knox is. We don't know what he could be or what he should be in the future. He's a piece. Is he an expensive piece? No. The Knicks could throw him in the trade with 4 or 5 draft picks. Would that seal the deal for Somebody like Karl-Anthony Towns absolutely does. Anthony Davis was traded for 4 first-round draft picks. Three of them, actually, really, 2 of them were lottery picks. The other third, Hart, was not a lottery pick.
I think he was the 27th pick.
Yeah, so he's not a lottery pick. So they practically gave away 3 lottery picks and a player. And I don't even think the other pick that they gave him is even going to be a lottery pick. Because
we'll see what it is 2021, yeah.
The Lakers are going to be good. Mm-hmm. LeBron James is there. They're going to win. They're not going to be bad. So my question to all the fans out there, that everybody thinks that the Knicks don't have a shot at a big-time free agent. It's not about a free agency, because we're not talking about free agent. We're talking about trade. Now, Karl-Anthony Towns might not want to be a Knick in the long run. But guess what? He's under contract. What does that mean? That means that if Minnesota wants to trade him, because he doesn't have a no-trade clause, they can trade him. And if the Knicks are willing to give up 3 to 4 first-round draft picks and a player, they're going to get Karl-Anthony Towns. Now, do I think Karl-Anthony Towns is going to be a Knick? No, I don't. As of right now,
Tough to trust anything right.
No, I don't. As of right now, there's no chance in hell Karl-Anthony Towns is a New York Knick. But that could change in the offseason. The Knicks have money to bring in more superstars, and they have draft stock. What are the most important things to have in free agency or in trade talks? Draft stock and money. The Knicks have 2 of the most... there are 3 important things. The Knicks have 2 out of 3. The other third is a superstar that you could trade another superstar for. Or a star to trade for a superstar. And picks. The Knicks don't have that. They have R.J. Barrett, who's an up-and-coming possible star. But we don't know what R.J. Barrett is yet.
And they probably don't need to trade him for Towns. They could probably just do Knox, maybe another young piece, and 3 picks. Or if they do 4 picks, then they would have to do just 1 player.
I don't know what the Knicks are going to be willing to trade, and I'm not saying it's the Knicks. It could be the Celtics. I do not believe Karl-Anthony Towns is going to be a Timberwolf next year. I don't believe D'Angelo Russell is going to be a Timberwolf next year. They were trying to trade him after they made the trade.
So you think they're going to trade him together?
No, I think they're going to trade one to another team, try to get draft stock from him, and they're going to trade Karl-Anthony Towns to another team and try to get more draft stock from him. They're going to try to rebuild in the draft. They're going to bring in a new GM, they're going to bring in a new president, and they're going to bring in a new coach. Because Saunders' son is not going to be there next year. So you look at guys like Karl-Anthony Towns, who is a viable superstar in the NBA. And you look at Leon Rose, and I'm not saying that he's going to the Knicks. You look at Leon Rose, look at the connection. He was his agent. Karl-Anthony Towns mentioned the New York Knicks. He wants to go to a big city. What's bigger than New York City? Yes, James Dolan runs the New York Knicks, and the Knicks have gone nowhere in 30 years. They've gone nowhere. They've been one of the worst franchises in professional sports. They've been that bad. And they're one of the most profitable organizations in all of professional sports. Crazy it sounds.
Yeah, they're the most profitable team in the NBA, and I think among the 4 major sports, they're 3rd after the Cowboys and the Yankees.
So you look at the Knicks, why does James Dolan care if this team is good or not? Well, James Dolan has spent the money every single season. He's opened up his pockets. It doesn't matter who the GM is, who the president is, who the coach is. He opens up his pockets.
It doesn't matter who the player is, because we've seen a lot of bad contracts come through there, too.
Well, that's because of the GM. That's not because of James Dolan.
Well, he still pays them, though.
Well, he pays them. He writes the checks. But who brings those players in? The GM, the president. You cannot blame James Dolan because he hired somebody that was incompetent. He thought the guy... Did anybody in their wildest dreams think that Phil Jackson was going to be completely a bust? Nobody did. Everybody thought that he wasn't a viable candidate to take over the New York Knicks, and they weren't sure if he was going to be dedicated to the position. But a lot of fans loved the Knicks bringing in Phil Jackson. You were one of them.
Right, but again, they also don't have to blame the GM for paying him $10-15 more than market value, though, either.
If that's what's going to draw him to come to the New York Knicks, then you got to pay him. Because if it was that player's choice to go to the Miami Heat or the Lakers or any of those organizations that have good ownership, obviously they're going to choose one of those organizations. Even Brad Stevens and the Celtics are a better choice right now with the team that they have enhanced over the last couple of years with Kemba Walker and Tatum and Jaylen Brown, all the players that they've had and they've drafted. It's more enticing to go to the Celtics than the Knicks. But if the Knicks have draft stock and the Knicks have the money, they have an absolute opportunity to bring in Karl-Anthony Towns. Not because he's a free agent, because he's available to be traded for. All right, we have our first caller of the day. Jeff, what's going on, man?
Errol, how are you? How are you guys surviving the pandemic, my friend?
I'm living, man.
Yeah, I hear you. All my days are blending into one.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
It's been crazy.
Listen, just, obviously I'm going to disagree with you here.
Of course.
How do you not blame James Dolan for the just disgusting state of the Knicks? I understand your point when you're saying that, he hires people who do the job and this and that. But up until very recently, James Dolan has meddled in everything they've ever tried to do. So, he's, at the end of the day, he's the boss, right? He's the guy in charge. Mm-hmm. So if you're saying, technically, I'm empowering someone, but then you don't give them the full power to make those decisions, how is it not James Dolan?
No, I'm not saying it's not any bit James Dolan's fault that the Knicks are not a good organization and not a good team. That's not what I'm saying. You can't blame James Dolan altogether for this. James Dolan opens his pocket. He paid Phil Jackson. He paid Derek Fisher. He paid everybody. Everybody that's come to the organization, he paid. Everybody loved the fact that Phil Jackson was coming to the New York Knicks organization because he was an ex-Knick. He won 2 titles with the Knicks as a sixth man, and he's one of the greatest coaches of all time. And he's great. I guess he's a great NBA mind. And what did he do? He practically slept at the draft. He didn't want anything to do with the New York Knicks organization. He robbed the New York Knicks and James Dolan. Now, is that James Dolan's fault that Phil Jackson didn't do the job? That's not James Dolan's fault. That's Phil Jackson's fault because Phil Jackson didn't give a crap about the organization and the job that he was entailed to do. Now, you're absolutely right, Jeff. He pays the guys. He's the owner. He's the top dog. No question that he is. But to say that it's all James Dolan's fault, it's crazy. It absolutely is. It's ludicrous.
No, I'm not saying that it's all James Dolan's fault, but I would say it's probably 75% of James Dolan. How many GMs have you had? How many coaches have you had? At some point, it's not all of the GMs and it's not all of the coaches, and there needs to be some introspection there, and he needs to look in the mirror and say, maybe I'm the problem.
How many good coaches are in the NBA, Jeff?
I think there's, well,
I'm serious.
Listen,
if you were to rate,
no. But I'm being serious with you, right? I think they've made some good coaching hires, and they don't. I mean, how can you not give David Fizdale a chance? Were they really fair to David Fizdale? Honestly.
Well, here's the thing, and I said this to Mike on the phone. When David Fizdale was fired, when Miller took over, what was their record?
Yeah, I understand that they got, 7 or 8 games.
I'm not talking about Fizdale. I'm talking about when Miller took over. He won 17 games. Miller won 16 or 17 games. Miller, a backup assistant coach that nobody's even heard of. Nobody's even heard of him. He's never been an NBA coach in the NBA. He's never an assistant. I don't even think he's a second assistant to an NBA team. He's ever been a second assistant to the coach. I don't think he's ever done that. And he took over David Fizdale, the same team, Jeff, the same team. And he won almost as many games as David Fizdale did in the 2 years he was there with the Knicks.
You can answer my question.
Go ahead, I'll answer.
Were they fair to David? They fair to David Fizdale?
No. And you want to know something? This game, and you know this in professional sports, Jeff, and we argue this all the time. Professional sports is a business now. It's not about being fair to anybody. It's about making money, and it's about driving wins. And they weren't winning.